believe in the boogeyman?
Hey, this is Travis Everett from Witchgrinder. I'm speaking to you today because we are releasing our new album tomorrow. Nothing Stays Buried.
Beautiful, Travis. Thanks for joining us today.
No worries, man.
So, before we get to the album, mate, like you've released the music video for the song "Queen of Sin," which is an absolute cracker of a video.
Yeah.
So, instead of me trying to explain it when I don't know too much about it, you tell us a bit about the video and the idea behind it.
Okay, so that was the second single off the album. The idea behind that, the original, when we wrote the song, the riff was very rocky and had like a good, nice groove to it. Reminded me of a lot of dancing going on that, guys and women or whoever could just really get into and dance. So and I had a bunch of like a heap of titles for song names. That's kind of how I start with the writing. So Queen of Sin was one that popped up straight away. It just seemed to fit it perfect, and it just ended up being one of those really more alternative than our other songs. Like it would branch out to a bigger audience.
Okay, yeah.
So we thought we'd use that for our second single, and then I spoke to one of my friends who's just absolutely amazing, like director, and he writes all the film clips and all that. I explained to him what the song was about, which is about just like an empowered woman, a queen of sin that kind of, gets to choose her men or whoever she chooses to pull through. Just a mega powerful woman. Mm-hmm. And gave him the song lyrics and a little bit more, and we started riffing with some ideas back and forward to work out an idea for a clip, and then it just got to what you're able to see now today.
Yeah.
Which I was stoked when it turned out. A lot of hard work, but we got there.
You can see the hard work in it, mate, which makes it all worth it, doesn't it?
Yep, sure does.
Now, you released, like you say, you released that as your second single, but only the video this week. So was there a reason behind that, or was it just like, was there a specific reason, or just the other way?
There's no real reason behind it. Sometimes it's just depending. Spotify likes to get a lot of your music pushed from there when you release something. And then we wanted to give our YouTube a boost. So like releasing things at a different time, because one was, just for listening, the other one's visual, to get people pushed to both those sites instead of just choosing the one.
Yeah.
I think that's why we kind of went with that idea. That's not really my end of
yeah, I don't know too much about it either. It does make sense though, because if you put just the song out in one hit with the song and the video, like if it's such a good video like you've got there, you'll find people are focusing on that, not so much the actual song. So this way they get to like the song or know the song first and then appreciate the video. So it's two bites effectively.
That's it. And with this video, you've seen it, obviously. Yeah. The film, we decided for less band. Like all the film clips that we've done up to date, like we've had 3 albums out now. Well, this will be the 3rd, sorry. And every film clip that we've always done, we've always had the band as the feature, and some other things come in. But this time we really wanted to focus on the Queen and the other ladies in the room and the story more than the band. So as you can see, the shots only really go to the band a few times. It's not as focused on us. So with that, it was nice to put the music out probably first for people to get an idea of the music and then not be so distracted. Like they've already known the song, because they were going to be very distracted when they watched that film clip.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on. Visually amazing. Like the women are great. The guys are the actors in there who get like killed by the Queen or whatever you want to say. They like, there's so much going on in it.
it's just a great film clip. Like you watch it over and over again, and I keep picking up little things like that I didn't even know that the director had thrown in there. So
nice bonus. And
yeah.
as you say, the song is taken from your third album, Nothing Stays Buried, which is out now. So tell us a bit about the album overall from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it.
This album took a while to write. Actually, the writing didn't take so long. What it was is there was a large gap in between from the last album, just due to lineup changes and COVID,
pretty much. Witchgrinder was had a nice touring lineup and stuff, but nothing put together where I felt comfortable writing, like getting back in and doing a third album. Of course, I had a lot of stuff put away, just riffs over the years and all that, but it never started structuring anything together. With this album, I looked at what the previous two done, and what I had time to talk to a lot of people who had known Witchgrinder, like listened to Witchgrinder over the years, a lot of new fans, a lot of old ones, and worked out what they liked best from the first album and the second album. What songs were their favorite and what weren't. So with this album, we really sat, especially me and the guitarist, Scott, we sat down and we really spoke about what we wanted, what style of song we wanted, one to be. Like if we wanted it kind of like we'd pick like one of the old ones off an album and say, we kind of want it a bit like this. We want this one more rockier. We want this one more thrash metal. We want this, but we still wanted to keep the Witchgrinder sound, of course. So we did put it all together over about 6 months and wrote it about in 6 months. We spent a long time in the studio, but that wasn't necessarily because it was every day. It was very split up. So we went in, we recorded a little bit, we came out, had a break. That was just because of just where people were at the moment. Like, life just gets in the way and it gets busy. But we did have the set date and we managed to hit it. So it's finally like it did. It feels good to finally get this album out, because it was a lot of work, but I'm proud of this album, and to be honest, I'm ready to start writing the next one.
Now, this one's settling a bit first, mate.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm letting it sink in a bit. I mean, we've still got the tour next month, so
we'll get to that a little later on. But before we do, we don't normally do this, but there's only 8 songs on this album, and like you say, it's a well put together album, mate. So we'll take the top. We'll go through each song individually. Just tell us a bit more about it, so the fans can sort of know where you're coming from. So it starts with My Exorcist.
Yes. So My Exorcist was one of the. I think it was one of the. I think it was about third last we wrote this, if that makes sense. We wanted a punchy song that reminded me of Witchgrinder stuff that we take from like Rammstein, like with the big thumping, thumping drums, just stomping along like that, and just a massive riff. Come together really fast. It was a really easy song for us to write. When I say that, it's still not easy, but it was an easier song to put together. The lyrics, like I said, was just another one of those where I went to my list and looked through the song titles that I'd wrote down and what I could hear. Like I will then listen to the demo of the song, and when I hear and one of the titles just kind of line up.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
That's how that's where the name comes from. And then once with the titles, I've already got a story of where I want to take the lyrics if we use it. So that was pretty easy done, because that was really just based on the Exorcist the old Exorcist movie. most of these songs on this album like are based from 80s horror movies.
Yeah, you can
You'll find it as we go down the list like that.
I was just saying,
you'll get it.
Looking down the songs now, and then you can sort of tell which one. So we've got Dead by Dawn next, which is an obvious Evil Dead.
Very obvious, big nod to the Evil Dead 2. Growing up with that as a kid and loving it so much, I always knew that I wanted to write a song about the Evil Dead, but I never really knew what song. This is I feel Dead by Dawn is the most Witchgrinder song on the album. That's as Witchgrinder as you can get. And when I wrote that, I thought, well, it needs a really good, like, what are we about? And I was like, well, we sing about our favorite horror movies and things like that. And that's what people kind of, not only do we have our music fans, we've got like, fans of horror movies.
Yeah.
Like that just kind of pick up and listen to our music because of the lyrics and our art and all that. So, that was I think that was about midway we wrote that. And when I heard that, I was really happy. That's why we started off that with it as our first single.
Queen of Sin is next, but we've run through that one. So we'll move on to the next one.
Through that.
Upon Cursed Grounds.
Cursed Grounds. That's what Scotty calls it. I call it Upon Cursed Grounds. But
I wasn't sure when I was writing it down if it was cursed or cursed, but I'm a cursed man.
That's all right. Well, you're the same as Scotty.
Don't put me in that category. Don't put me in his category. Jesus.
So Upon Cursed Grounds has just been about stuck on like sacred land. It doesn't really come from any specific movie, that one. I think that's more of just stories that I've heard over the years, things like that. The song, that one was, I think that was second last that we wrote. That took a while. It's the longest song on the album. I'm pretty sure, as far as I know. The structure of that was so weird. I'd never put a song together like that, and I don't know why we did it that way, but it did come out. It just kind of rolled out how it came to. At the start, I was a bit weirded about it, but after a few listens, it grew on me that way that we'd laid it out, and especially when Scotty put over his his leads, he's got some really cool harmonics and things going on there where I dual guitar with him.
Yeah.
The bass, like once Jake picked up the bass, it started like throwing his stuff in, like it was just adding, and the samples were adding up, the keys and synths, and it just turned out to be a really cool song. One of my favorites.
And how about Inject the Venom? For some reason, I'm singing something in my head when I read that title. I just don't know what song it is.
I think there was
glam rocky sort of song, I think.
There was actually an AC/DC had a song called Inject the Venom.
I just called AC/DC glam rock. How bad am I?
You got the rock part right. Just gotta leave off that glam. Yeah, they're not very pretty, those boys.
Not in the slightest now.
Which I didn't realize that until after the song was written. That was the first song that I did write for the album, though.
Okay.
Before I hadn't titled it at this stage, but that was the first song I wrote. So I can't remember how long ago that was now. What have I said? How long did it take? We'll just say it was a year.
It was probably longer. A long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Inject the Venom's about. It was based a little bit on Reanimator.
Okay, yeah.
Which is one of my favorite movies. It was based on that, but it went a little bit of a different direction. It was more of an injected kind of just a horror story that it was kind of a couple of horror stories that I joined together, but it's mostly of just someone being like injected with this serum that will make them bring out like more of a monster. So it's even got a kind of like Jekyll and Hyde little thing in there. It's got a lot of nods to a lot of those movies, but Reanimator kept popping back into my mind as I was writing it.
Oh,
yeah.
Movie that popped into my mind for the next one is going to be completely wrong, but I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I got a ninja.
Oh, really?
Left for the rats.
Yeah. I keep looking over here because I'm looking at the track listing while we're speaking, right. Just to check.
I don't know why. It's just, but I know it's not.
Right. Well,
could be a horror movie. It was a shit movie, so it's called a horror movie.
Well, how's this? You guessed it right. I wrote it about the Ninja Turtles. That
there you go.
No, I didn't. No, this song is about actually someone getting taken hostage and locked in a basement or just a small dark area and having to fight to get out.
Oh,
and
cool.
In other words, it was they were left for the rats.
Yeah, that's a cool song
to die. Yeah, so the song title got played around with a lot. The song lyrics, though, once I worked out what that song sounded to me, like as I said, it just kind of, when I'm listening to the song, it just keeps going. And then when I seen Left for the Rats, it still didn't click straight away until I can't remember what I was doing, but I was sitting up and then all of a sudden I went, that's it. Like, that's someone locked in a basement and they need to really fight. Like, they've got to get out of this. So I kind of speak from the person's view in that, and like, as in, I have to, it's coming from like, I tried to, create that space when I was singing it, imagining, like, I remember turning all the lights off in the studio and, really kind of getting into it.
Wow.
to feel that.
That reminds me of a story I heard about when Slipknot did their debut album. They got that song "Purity" on there, which is about a girl getting kidnapped, and apparently, in a basement. Apparently, Corey put himself under his bed with the lights out and wrote that song so it's just in complete darkness, so he could put himself in that position. It's really cool.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, that's kind of the same, but I didn't know that story. I just thought it would be cool. And it does, like, the space around it does matter when you're in the studio. You want to do it right. Live you just wing it and it happens. Whatever happens in the room, the energy works.
Yeah.
But you do want to capture something if you're going to put it down on a record. And
best way to capture that emotion is to try and put yourself in that situation without actually.
Especially that I was coming from that point of view with the lyrics. Yeah.
Super cool, man. Right, well, the next one is You Bury Your Own, so I hope you didn't put yourself in any position while you were writing that.
I did not. But this one is based on probably my favorite horror movie of all time, which is Pet Sematary.
Right, yeah.
I don't, there's so many horror movies, so I can't choose one. But I do, every time someone does ask me the question, I always say, look, I think Pet Sematary is up there with the top, just because it had a bit of, this is the 80s version.
Original one, yeah.
It just had so much in it. When I was a kid, it scared the hell out of me. There's like things coming back from the dead. There's a cat comes back from the dead. There's that scene with the child in the truck.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any spoilers, but you've had 40 years to watch it.
So it's pretty harrowing, that scene, actually. It's pretty.
It still hits. Literally
it
that. Yeah. So I'd always wanted to write a song about this. I never thought there was a song good enough because I hold that movie in such high regard. But the lyrics that I'd scrapped down just fit when I was just. This was not the case of looking at the song and looking for the title. I had some lyrics there, and I remember we were jamming out the song, and I just started singing those lyrics, and I thought, oh, this fits perfect. So this is going to have to be it.
Yeah, cool. Now, before we move on to the next one, I've actually just had an idea to ask you. You just made me think
Yep.
of it. You just with the horror movies, Ola, there's so many remakes going on these days. Have you ever thought about like a dual album, like watching the original and being inspired, write a song on the original, and then write one based on the remake? That'd be pretty cool.
I haven't even thought of that, but that is a kind of cool idea.
Double concept album with different fucking visuals and thing. Well, I'll leave that one to digest with you.
Yeah, we've definitely gone over the idea of a concept album, yeah, where the
Every song does take onto a new story, and we would actually have someone narrate.
Narrate.
Right word.
Close.
Yeah, sorry.
It's been a very big day. So yeah, with someone to tell the story in between the songs, and then it gets into the next one, and then explains the next part of the song. That idea's come up a lot.
That would be good.
Maybe that's the next EP or something like that. We could do it for. I'm not sure.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead, mate. Let us know. Bobo from Fat Pete's is a good friend of mine. He'd make a great narrator.
Yeah.
Hey, if it gets going, mate, I'll see what. Yeah, I reckon he'd be cool.
Yeah, he would be.
Hey, let us know if it gets off the ground.
All right, mate. I will do.
Okay, the final song for the album is Nothing But Fire.
Yep. This title was originally for a black metal project I was working on with a friend from Poland. It just, to be honest, I don't know why it never fully took off the ground. I don't think I was ready at the time. But less to get into that. I mean, I hope, but I might actually come back to that, so I won't speak too much about that that project.
But yeah, Nothing But Fire was originally just a title for a song I had on this black metal album. This song was last written for the album.
This was a lot of Scotty's writing. Pretty much wrote the song, and he wrote it really, really fast. I said we need a thrash album for the end of the album. That's kind of influenced a little bit by Metallica in a way, because Metallica the earlier stuff, they'd always end with a really fast, hard-hitting song. So that was kind of in our heads a little nod to them. Like, we've already done, Witchgrinder's already released a Metallica cover before. So everyone knows that we're huge fans, especially me and Scotty, and so we thought we'd do something a bit thrashier for the end, and Nothing But Fire just, again, the title suited it. And it's just about every horror movie that that I can really think of. I mean, not every horror movie. Most horror movies will finish with fire. You either got to burn a beast, or the house is burning down, or someone's got to escape a fire, and they're all like cuddling at the end, and you can see all the smoke and all that. So it was just suited to end the album with that, like, because like as I said, it was all based on these 80s horror movies. The cover art, everything, horror movie style. We just went for that comical horror style. But Nothing But Fire, ending with like in a burst of flames, or whatever. So